Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Astral Jewels. I hope you've had an enjoyable few weeks with family and friends over the Christmas period, or at least you've had a break from working too hard. That's something indeed. So he's hoping that 2024 is way better than 2023. And personally, I had many life-changing experiences. Many were positive, and of course, there was the mixture of uncomfortable moments added in, as we all experience. And we just soldier on and we move forward and we learn from those experiences, and that's what it's all about. Experiences and what you do with them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a sweep of what is in store for January 2024. I'll do a bigger review of the entire year in another video, but just for now, I'm going to do January and what's in store for us. Okay, so first off, we've got the Sun in Sagittarius. Now, just remember, I am a sidereal astrologer. I am not a tropical astrologer. So if you're watching this, no doubt you've got an interest in the sidereal model, which is in line with the sky. I still get the comments, "Oh no, you're wrong. You're wrong. It's in the wrong sign," without people realizing that I am a sidereal astrologer. So just bear that in mind. If you're not, you might be in the wrong place and you might need to go over to someone else who does the tropical model. So just remember, sidereal is in line with the sky. It's visual. And I advocate this model of astrology quite strongly. I use it myself, and in terms of life experiences, it's hard to argue that it's not the right model to use for me. Okay, so here we go, Sagittarius. Now I covered this in December as well. We have the Sun in Sag until the 14th of January. So we're still in Sag. And just remembering, Sagittarius, it's ruled by Jupiter. And what we're looking for, it's generally, it likes to be in the 9th house. That's the house for Sagittarius and for Jupiter. We're talking about universal truths, truth and integrity, higher modes of what truth is. It's often regarded as one of the spiritual forces, Sagittarius. Jupiter is, basically the king of the heavens. So we're looking at really high spiritual forces if taken on the higher mode. On a more general way of looking at Jupiter, we're talking about overseas travel. Expansion of your thinking is a great thing for a Jupiterian. Anything big and unrestricted, you could say. Jupiter is like, it's all about fun and joy and expansion, but also, very much about universal truths, which is really important. So as you'll see, as I write in the full moon or the new moon, there will be an impulse definitely for looking at your truth and integrity and what that means to you. Okay, so that's Sagittarius. And then we have from the 15th of January to February 12th, we've got the Sun in Capricorn. Now, Capricorn is the smallest of the constellations, and it's not very easy to find in the night sky. The alpha star is Al-Jedi. I hope I pronounced that right. And it's the Arabic for goat or ibex, hence the goat. As the Sun goes through Capricorn, and depending on the house Capricorn is in your chart, you are likely to go through a phase of restructuring. So you may also have experiences that feel like life lessons, as Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn and Saturn is the teacher. Okay, so what you do is highlighted. What you do is highlighted. Take note of what you do in any situation, particularly if there is frustration and intensity involved. And you may make decisions based on dropping old habits and beliefs, then making new decisions on who you want to be as you begin to find out who you really are. Something to watch for is from the 15th of January through to the 26th of January, when the Sun and Pluto are in a conjunction. Okay, this will be a very interesting period, particularly for those people who have got a Sun-Pluto angle in their own chart. And I've spoken before about Pluto. Pluto is currently in Capricorn and doing a massive job in the restructuring of our planet. So Pluto's the planet of transformation, and it is like a bulldozer when it comes to knocking down old systems that don't work and then assisting with the creation of new systems. Right, so that's Pluto. Now, when you've got the Sun going conjunct Pluto, there's something going to be highlighted around that period. So we've got, basically a 2-week period of quite an intense energy highlighting. The Sun is the highest in you. The Pluto is the depths of you. You could say the deepest of you. Now, I don't like saying the lowest or the darkest, because that's old language. It's the depths of you. And so during this period, you may have experiences where you feel stretched from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet and below your feet. If you're holding on to things that you need to let go of, or if things really need to be highlighted. The Sun-Pluto experiences can be quite harrowing at times, in that the Sun represents things that are, beautiful and shining. In terms of, say, connections, so connections could be your guides or even people that you want in your life. You may have a feeling of some form of joy or ecstasy. Something makes you feel really good. That's the Sun, and it takes you into a really good state of shining, okay, as the Sun does. And then Pluto's effect is that you can then drop into the depths of yourself. If that experience is fleeting and you can't hold on to it, it's likely you'll drop into some form of, it could end up being a disappointment. So, Sun is all promising and, it's wondrous. And then Pluto is like, boom, it's gone. And that's if you can't hold on to what the Sun was bringing to you. So this is something to be very aware of in your own life. And, it's very much a transformative angle, the Sun-Pluto. So on a global level, it's quite likely that during the end of January, or the last couple of weeks in January, something will be highlighted, and there could very well be incidences where people are very, very disappointed, or they drop out of perhaps a false hope in some sense, or something is taken from them because they can't hold on to something that once gave them pleasure. So we'll see what happens during that period. I'm very interested to see what goes on in that period. Definitely, it's going to be very interesting. So I'll do a sweep of the larger planets and the influence of them in 2024 in a separate video. And for now, I'm focusing on January and the main points of interest that are there. And these main points are mainly, I'm primarily going to be looking at Mars and Mercury in Sagittarius, and then the Sun-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, of which I've said a fair bit already, but there's a little bit more to be said. Okay, so I'll just bring up what that looks like. Okay, so we've got Mercury and Mars conjunction happening as we speak. Now it's about to go out of a conjunct position. So for those who are not into astrology, conjunction is when these planets are close together, and it's usually they're generally quite a powerful influence when they are in a conjunction. So what we're looking at here with Mercury Mars conjunction, it's also trine Chiron and the North Node. So that's over what looks like the ascendant position on the left-hand side in the middle, where Chiron and the North Node are. So Mercury, Mars together, and it's in Sag. Mercury is still in Scorpio, but it's basically really close to Sag. So I'm going to push it over into the Sagittarius. What we're looking at is communication, high-end communication. I covered this a lot in the December recording that I did. And communication is really key at the moment. So we're looking on a global level, we're more likely looking at a political communication or media, and maybe media are finally being forced to tell the truth for a change, because we know that there is a lot of lying that's been going on. So, you know, Mercury and Mars together, Mars is that will force, you know, do an action, and Mercury is the communicator. So when you put them together, there's a lot of communication that happens. And on a global level, there is more being expressed. There's more coming out in terms of truth. On a personal level, of course, now this Mars and Mercury have been going on for the last couple of weeks. So it would have happened over the Christmas period. And I think I might have said something about being aware of what it is you needed to communicate over the Christmas period, and maybe you needed to say things to family and friends during that time, and it would have been a really good time to actually express. Now, because Chiron was involved with that, it's quite possible that there was a frustration involved. Now Chiron is a maverick planet. It's a dwarf planet. And I do include Chiron in my readings because on a personal note, I feel the effects of Chiron really quite strongly. And when it comes to people doing having a life of transformation, which requires a lot of self-awareness and awareness of what forces are doing, it's very, very handy to comprehend what Chiron is doing in your life. So much so I've included Chiron as well as karma in my readings with clients. So if you get a natal reading done by me, you will also get Chiron included in that, and karma if you so have any karma that's showing up in your chart. Okay, it's very helpful for navigating where your wounds are at. And interestingly, you know, I really got bitten on the bum big time over the last month, and it's still ongoing with Chiron and the placements in my own chart. So it was really forcing me to look at what I hadn't addressed in terms of the wounds that I had been holding on to. So awareness really, really helps because you can then navigate what is going on. It helps to get conscious awareness, and sometimes old patterns and traumas are in the subconscious and they're hard to bring to the surface because you like to bury them. And Chiron and its placement at the moment, Chiron is conjunct the North Node there. The North Node is your axis of destiny. So for you to be moving forward into where you want to be, Chiron's involvement is really going to have a strong influence in removing the blocks that are stopping you from getting towards your destiny. Right? That's a good way of approaching what's going on at the moment. Clearing blocks, clearing wounds, finding out what they are, and being able to move forward. So with the Mercury-Mars conjunction, trine Chiron, it's really full on in terms of communicating what it is you need to communicate in terms of your wounds. So if you need to say something, need to express something, now's the time to do it. And it may already have happened over the Christmas period. So I hope that worked out well for you, and it wasn't too traumatic, let's say, and that you were able to push through and move forward, because that's what we need to do. All right, so also we've got the Sun trine Jupiter at the moment, and it's square Chiron. Now Sun Jupiter is a very buoyant energy, and it's going to enlarge what it's touching. So this has also highlighted the Chiron and Mercury-Mars angle, right? So you might have been put in a situation where you just could not stop what was coming out of your mouth. Put it that way. Okay, that's on the personal level, and that's as it needed to be. All right. So I just hope you handled it well, and that you're not now licking your wounds because something went wrong and you weren't able to handle it. So there was a big lesson in being able to navigate your wounds here. So and Sun Jupiter would have made that really in your face, prominent. Okay, and also we've got Saturn sextile Mars. Now this Saturn and Mars together, Saturn is that which structures and builds and has know-how. And during this time, you could have been preparing to do something that you needed to do. You needed to do some homework and work it out and get some structure to be able to do something, because Mars is about doing. It's the warrior. It's the force that gets you moving forward. So Saturn Mars, this sextile, would have been a nice flow. So there would have been something in the background that was giving you the know-how to be able to do this communication that you needed to do. Right? On a global level, again, we know that there's a lot of things going on in the background, particularly when it comes to media and politics. In the background, we're talking about Iraq, we're talking about the USA, we're actually talking globally. There's so much going on that we are not aware of in terms of it being made public through mainstream media. Now we know that that is going on, and Sun Mars is most likely helping here to structure things so that the communication comes out in the way that it needs to, right? Saturn and Mars, structure and will, structure and doing something. So something was being prepared here. And there's, again, a lot to do with communication. And remember the Sagittarian force, higher truths, universal truths. So something's going on there. On a personal level, when it comes to, universal truth, it's like, what is your truth and what is your integrity? And you need to look at that. Now that's personal. So your truth is going to be different to somebody else's. So when they talk about integrity and universal truths, you're thinking that you've got to be the same as, some Buddha or something like that. It's personal. It's personal until it becomes transpersonal. So, and that is likely to be more to do with the ascension. So on the personal level, we're still in 3D, 3 and 4. We're oscillating strongly between those two dimensions. So we need to be in 3D because that's what we're alive, right? If we weren't in 3D, we wouldn't be here. That's important to know. 4D is getting conscious awareness in our astral body, being aware of our astrality, our thoughts and emotions. That's very much about the 4th dimension. 5th dimension, that's when there's a real game changer in, you know, when things become more transpersonal. And until then, it is on a personal level that you look at integrity and truth. Transpersonal, it becomes very much about a universal we, the we are. And until that happens, you know, even in the 5th dimension, you still have a sense of your individuality, right? So you're going towards being able to be an individual, but in the 5th dimension, it's being individual, but encompassing the we are. So you know, there's still a lot of misunderstanding on the dimensions themselves and what the experiences are, but I hope that's given you a little bit of knowledge on how that stands. Okay, so truth and integrity is going to be one of the big things to look at in terms of yourself personally. Certainly on a global level, it's a massive need to get truth and integrity onto our planet throughout the whole political arena. All those systems, oh my God, there is such a lack of integrity. You know that. I'm preaching to the converted. But there's an impulse now to look at this truth and integrity, universal law, and the corruption that is on our planet, right? And you can see that we need a lot of help in that regard. Remember, Jupiter stands for the King of the Heavens. So when we are looking at Sagittarius, Jupiter, and we speak of truth and integrity, it is at a high level. We're talking about universal law. So we've got the normal mundane down here, and then we've got the higher truths, which is what we need to align to. That's really, really important. We've got a long way to go. Okay, so the next thing I want to have a look at a few things individually here as well. So I've fast forwarded to the 16th, 18th of January to still we've got this Mars-Mercury conjunction in Sagittarius still happening. It actually parts ways and then it comes back together on the 18th of January. So that's something to make note of, because there's going to be another round of this communication in terms of, I think it's on a global level more so, but you're going to get a second bite of the cherry in terms of you looking at, what you stand for and your integrity and your truth. So that's the impulse that's going on right now. It's really important. So there's another bite of the cherry here. Something is going to go on between the middle and end of January globally in terms of expressing what the truth is. Okay. Then we've got the Sun and Pluto conjunction here. Now it squares Jupiter in Aries. And Jupiter in Aries takes on a Jupiter-Mars force. And so it is going square to the Sun-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn. So be aware, there's something really, there's a lot of voltage involved with this Sun-Pluto conjunction. That's amazing. I do... when as an astrologer and you look at this, because I can't say to you exactly what is going to happen. I really don't know. The exact conjunction happens on the 21st of January. That's when it's exact. So around about that time, you know, what has been shown to us is, especially over the last 3 years, is you can't pick dates for anything. But you can be assured that around this time, the forces are going to be really quite strong in terms of what I mentioned with the Sun Pluto, the highest and the lowest. Now, and this is a hugely spiritual force. You can say that of all the planets, but this is really quite strong. So Jupiter in Aries, you know, it squares Sun and Pluto and trine Mercury and Mars. So there's a connection here. Again, Capricorn is about restructuring, getting rid of old systems and rebuilding new ones. So as the Sun is on Pluto, something is likely to come to an apex in terms of taking out the old. You know, something will be really, really highlighted. And when you've got the Jupiter and Jupiter in Aries, and that's trine Mercury and Mars, that is going to make communication even more buoyant. A lot of expression, a lot of talking. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the media through that period of time. And could they actually be talking about what needs to be changed? Are things going to start being taken down? Now, I've said many times, I'm a sidereal astrologer. So Pluto is currently 5 to 6 degrees in Capricorn. Under the tropical system, they're saying that it's at the end of Capricorn and it's about to go into Aquarius, and that is not the case. We've got another decade and more of Pluto in Capricorn. And what generally happens, you know, I've done videos on this years ago, where Pluto going through Capricorn, it's a cyclic thing, happens every 248 years. And we're looking at periods of history like the Crusades and the Renaissance, where major things happened, major changes happened. And here we are again, it's happening again. Right now, what happens when things change is, firstly, something has to be deconstructed, has to be pulled down before you can build something new. And we are in the phase of pulling down, right? Things have got to end that don't work. And there's a lot on our planet that does not work. We know that, from the financial system to the medical system to the education system. Then once it's been pulled down, then we've got to rebuild something new. And that will likely be through the middle phase of Pluto in Capricorn. And then we learn how to be in this new system. So this whole phase of change and restructuring and getting new knowledge, you know-how, is a Capricorn Saturn trait. So we have to know how to do new things. But currently, as we stand now, Pluto is 5 to 6 degrees in Capricorn. It's just beginning. We're just at the beginning stages of that. Right? We're not at the end at all. There's a lot to happen. And you've just got to look around you to know that that is the truth of the matter, right? We're not at the end at all. We've just started this deconstruction phase. And just remember, this is not just happening on a global level. This is happening on a personal level. So some part of you is getting deconstructed, something that doesn't work for you, systems that don't work for you, and that is belief systems that don't work for you. They are going to go. And this is why you're having so much difficulty at the moment, going through emotional turmoil and frustration, and marriages are breaking up, and all sorts of difficult situations are occurring to push you into changing what doesn't work in your life, right? And that is not fun. Generally, it's not a fun thing to do. So I hear you, I feel you. It's not easy, right? But a lot of people are going through this, and it's a global as well as a personal thing, right? And depending on what house your Capricorn is in, is showing where it's playing out in your life. So it could be your personal relationships, could be your job and your finances. You know, it could be acquaintances and friends. You know, all sorts of things. The foundation you rest on could be getting blown to smithereens at the moment. That's what happens with the Pluto force, right? It's a dwarf planet, which is laughable because it is an enormous force, has an absolutely enormous effect on all of us. So try and downgrade Pluto and see how far you get. Got to laugh, hey? So we've also got Uranus in Aries, and that is squaring Mars Mercury. So Uranus in Aries takes on a Uranus-Mars force. I've spoken about this previously as well. And it's squaring Mars, makes the Mars force even more volatile, really, really strong. So whatever's going on here, there is the will and the force and the humanitarian push, which is what Uranus is for. It represents humanitarian changes, also changes in technology. Also, it's the rebel and the revolutionary. So that in Aries, it's really strong. It's squaring Mars, so that's even stronger. And the Mars is conjunct Mercury. So we've got a Uranus-Mercury and a Uranus-Mars square going on. So whatever is communicated here, again, has to do with higher truths, and the focus will be on humanitarian outcomes. That's the ultimate here. That's what we're looking at here. So this is the fight of, you know, the forces of light and the forces of darkness, which we're experiencing. And the forces, you know, I look positively at what is going on here. And there's a lot of good stuff, right? I see the positives happening because we have to change. It has to change. And these forces are making it change, right? It's uncomfortable, but change is. Not many people like change, and it is uncomfortable. So Uranus in Aries, that's still going on. And I think it's till May, June this year, but I'll do that in the global 2024 live as soon as I can get to it, okay? Now, the next thing I want to look at is Saturn. Saturn is in Aquarius, and that is angled to Mercury and also Jupiter. So Saturn comes in on the act. Saturn is the teacher. And the teacher and restructurer. And Saturn here, sextile Mercury, so that it's giving structure to the communication. That's part of what's happening. And the Jupiter force is giving it some impetus. So there's also caution happening. So, you know, a Jupiter Mercury on its own, so Jupiter Mercury Mars could be just mouthing off anything, which can get you into a lot of trouble. Saturn coming in and angling itself to Mercury and Jupiter is, it's like giving it some structure that's needed. So it's saying to these two forces, okay, yeah, okay, you need to communicate, but can you make sure that you do it properly? Put some structure into it and let's get it done properly. And we need that. So thank God for Saturn in this approach. And I'll be covering Saturn in Aquarius also in the global. Okay. And the next one and the last one that I'll speak about here is Neptune. Neptune is sextile the Sun and square Venus. And it's in Pisces. It's just entering Pisces at 1 degree. And sextile Sun and square Venus. Look, beautiful. That is a beautiful force. And on the spiritual side of things, it's a really high force that is just, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful force. So I'm sort of glad that that's in the mix of these really strong forces that are going on. So that's pretty cool. Okay. Then we've got Chiron square Mars, and Chiron square Mars. You know, it's a bit like Chiron again. It's that maverick, and yeah, it's that woundedness that comes in, and looking at where you are in terms of the Chiron or the woundedness in your own chart. You know, what's going on with your own Chiron maverick energy. Are you dealing with it okay? And being square Mars, it's really like it's forcing the Chiron to work on you. You know, remember I said I really got kicked up the butt with the Chiron force when my wounds were really in my face, and I had to deal with them, and still sort of am dealing with the dregs of it. It's not too bad, but that also was highlighted as something that needs to be dealt with. So good luck with that if that's you. Because on the other end of dealing with this, the Chiron wounds is, you know, is a really good sense of accomplishment and perhaps freedom, which is cool. It's really, really cool. Okay. And if you've got any questions on the Chiron, please put them in the comments on YouTube below. And yeah, if you need any help with these placements, by all means, let me know. Okay, so what I've got now is I'm just going to show you the new moon and the full moon. And we've got on the 11th of January, the new moon in Sag. And as it says, what is truth and integrity in you, right? What is it in you? It is difficult to stand in your powerful self without the knowledge of what you stand for and what makes you shine. So ultimate joy is available when you focus on what you want and who you are in the world. So that's a good new moon impulse of going inside and really going, what do I stand for? Who am I? And what are my belief systems, and do they serve me or not? Right? So look at that new moon impulse for you. And then on the 26th of January, the full moon is in Cancer. You know, I still get people saying, it's in the wrong place, it's in the wrong place. Well, no, it's not. It's not. Again, if you do tropical, then it's going to be placed differently. So I'm getting a little bit tired of saying it, but that's the way it is, right? It's going to take a while to deconstruct this two systems of astrology. It's quite different. Now, what we've got here, the retrogrades, just I'm in the last month of retrogrades, and I've got to do up a new chart. But January 2024, which is now, we had a Mercury retrograde, and that goes out of retrograde on the 2nd of January. So that's finished. So a bit of a sigh of relief, because when Mercury goes retrograde, it's all sorts of difficulties come up. Then Uranus goes out of retrograde on the 27th of January. So that's interesting in terms of that communication that I've been blabbing on about. The fact that Uranus has been retrograde feels like it's been a holding back on something really quite volatile. And it's going to release on the 27th. So yeah, the end of the month is going to be interesting in terms of this communication and what is going to come out of government. And, on the 27th, when Uranus is basically no longer being held back, yeah, I'm just wondering what effect that is going to have on us globally, because it could be a great big release of the Uranus force, which is like, just go for it. Just absolutely go for it. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens at the end of January. I think it's going to be quite a volatile month. For those that are really, full on into the truth, this is just really good to have an awareness of what's going on, right? And it's going to make it easier for you to, perhaps map or navigate what is going on in your own life and what's going on in the world. So it might not be as shocking to you as it might be to some other people that have not been delving down any roads of trying to find truth of what's going on and revealing the truth to you instead of being lied to by media, etc., etc. So yeah, so let's see what happens with Uranus going forward at the end of the month. Okay, so guys, there you go. So that's January done, and we'll see what effect that has on you, and hopefully it's a good thing for you guys. Again, there's this communication thing going on. Ta-da, I've got to get the throat chakra moving, see what happens with it, okay? All right, so I'll be back. I'm hopefully in the next couple of days with the 2024 review. Now, it's not going to be hugely exacting, as in what exact events are going to happen. I just don't do that. I can do that more on a personal level when things are really going to affect me. Definitely. On a global level, we might not be revealing as much as, it's hard. It's really hard, particularly when we're in the climate that we're in now, is to really predict exactly what is going on out there and whether we can predict anything. And I personally go, I'm just going to leave that there. There is always a likelihood of things happening, but we know from experience that we can't predict one thing from another. So I'd prefer not to do it. I can give a really good gauge of what's likely to happen, and then you can go with the flow yourself. That I find is really, really important for yourself. But hopefully what I've given you is useful for you moving forward. Okay, guys, thank you very much for listening, and I hope your 2024 is a wonderful time. We have had a difficult 2023, so here's to an absolutely amazing, wonderful 2024. I'm really looking forward to it in a positive way. So I hope you are too. So thank you, everybody, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye for now. Bye.